Carlos Isu on the road to recovery, presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. Always joined by Dr. Alan Beyer, and lucky for us, for a second time this week, Dr. B, I don't know about you, it's good news for us, but bad news for our athletes.
Well, whenever my texts light up and it's from you, I always just first thing say, okay, who got hurt? I better look on the injury hot wire first before I answer Karlo. But sure enough, one of our favorites just went down this week.
Previous person, an athlete that we've talked about here on the road to recovery. It was sad to see on my timeline on X that Tiger Woods announced that he underwent surgery Tuesday, today, after rupturing his left Achilles tendon while ramping up training and practice at home. He said Dr. Charlton Stucken of the Hospital for Special Surgery in West Palm performed a, quote, minimally invasive Achilles tendon repair. Surgery went smoothly. He expects a full recovery. But, Doc, Tiger is not a spring chicken, as we all know. He has a CVS or Walgreens receipt list long of injuries, including a previous torn Achilles, the opposite one. But what was your reaction to seeing this one?
Well, first, profound sadness for the bad luck that Tiger has. I mean, he just keeps fighting his way back from back surgeries, from a horrific auto accident a couple of years ago when he was out here for the Genesis. As you said, his previous Achilles on the other side, his ACL and tibial plateau fracture that he won the 2008 US Open with, and then it was diagnosed afterwards. Tiger has definitely put several orthopedic surgeons' kids through college through the years, and it's not a funny thing. It's kind of a sad thing.
It is sad. And, I was starting to feel optimistic for Tiger, who you mentioned his bad luck. Even this year, he lost his mother, and we were hoping to see him at the Genesis Invitational over here in Southern California. We got to see him smiling at least at the last time we saw him at TGL, and now an Achilles injury. So I can't help but to think, Doc, like, how much more can he take?
Tiger has an unlimited capacity to work out and fight back from injury. I mean, he might be the only guy on the planet who makes somebody like Kobe look like he wasn't enough of a fighter. There's never, and it's been over such a long period of time. I mean, we've had Tiger for 26 or 27 years as a pro. So we've seen him over such a long window, more than any other sport. I just was commenting to someone today, my golf pro at my club, talking about watching him play at Seminole within the last week in Florida, which is a relatively flat course. But he said he wasn't limping at all. He looked good. He was able to play like the old days. And we just saw him a week ago on TGL. But he looked great. He looked like he was in great shape and he was in a good state of mind. This is a killer. This is psychologically a killer. Golfers have come back from this before. Bernhard Langer comes to mind, tore his Achilles tendon a year ago, was back about 6 months later. And Bernhard's 67. So, I mean, he's a lot older than Tiger. But he's been a lot luckier than Tiger over the course of his injury in terms of his well-being. I mean, this is a guy who's hardly ever hurt, and at 67 kind of looks the same age as Tiger. He's an absolute phenom. This is an injury that he can come back from. He had a minimally invasive repair, which means they do most of it percutaneously to bring the ends of the tendon back together and put a couple of these new devices that we have, which are anchors kind of that hold the tendon together while it heals. So time back on the golf course, I don't know, putting 3 months, taking a full swing, maybe 4 or 5 months. So what are we now? We're in March. He won't make the FedEx Cup, obviously. He's not going to have the points for that. So realistically, it's the silly season after that. He'll probably be at the Ryder Cup because I think he's an assistant captain, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll hopefully see him next year, 2026.
Dr. B, we talked about Tiger before and his injuries in the past. You kind of hint it right there. To what capacity should we expect to see Tiger for the rest of his career?
Would Tiger ever play on the Champions Tour? With all of these things, Tiger's a competitor. He loves to compete. You saw that at TGL. With all of these tournaments he's had to miss the last 4 or 5 years with all these injuries. And his buddies, I mean, they all live together in Jupiter. They're all such good friends. Tiger has the need to compete, just like some guys have a need for speed. Tiger has a need to compete. So as of December of this year, Tiger becomes a member of a new club, and that's called the Champions Tour. He's eligible to play on the Champions Tour. And by the way, we have a venue out here every March, the Hogue Classic, where it's next week for all you listeners who need something to do next weekend, right down here at Newport Beach Country Club. Next March, we'd sure love to see him at the Hogue Classic next year.
I'd love to see Dr. V and Tiger Woods. What a match made in heaven on the greens. I can't imagine how the conversations are going to be like between you guys, too.
Well, I think I probably won't get the opportunity to play with Tiger in the Pro-Am. Usually it's the guys who write out the really, really big checks who get to play with the people who they want to play with. And my check doesn't have enough zeros on it to qualify me for that club. But, I've met Tiger several times at Big Canyon Country Club. He's been around here for a long time, and he'd certainly feel at home here. And we'd love to have him, and he'll make it very, very special.
What would be very, very special for me, especially for Tiger at this stage in life, is to continue to see those videos of him and Charlie going to the driving range or playing together, and just being a father and son on the greens. I think as long as Tiger can be healthy enough for that, I just would love to see his career go like that.
Well, he certainly had a career that's bigger than 98% of professional athletes, right? And watching him at his daughter's soccer match a couple of weeks ago win the state championship, he was as excited as when he won his first Masters. So I think he had a great line, by the way, at TGL Golf last week. He said to one of the younger players, I think it was Tom Kim, I had 4 green jackets before you were born. I mean, when that kind of gives you an idea as to the length of Tiger's career and how long he's been around. He's earned the right to do whatever he wants to do on the go forward. And just like Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, he brought golf to the masses. And I think that we owe him a huge debt of gratitude for that. And I just wish him all the best in terms of everything that he does on the go forward.
No doubt about it. Doc, thank you very much for joining us on the Road to Recovery presented by Hogue Orthopedic Institute. And good luck and hopefully a speedy recovery to Tiger Woods.
And I hope to see all of our listeners down at the Hogue Classic next week, Wednesday to Sunday, March 19th to 23rd. We'll see you at Newport Beach Country Club.